yeah, so it sent me on a whole journey. It was a really dark journey. It was dark. It was not, I was so lost, so confused. I didn't really have a sense of self at all, let alone a sense of self-worth. And I think that made me really angry. I had a lot of anger, I still do, that I'm working on, and a lot of resentment just for everything that was put on me. And yeah, so that's all been coming up in this Heart of the Soul. It's like readdressing all of those things that younger me felt and welcoming her back, because it really felt like, yeah, these patterns and these unresolved traumas, they take control of our life if we don't heal them. And I think I had to do, like, I went all over the place. I went far and wide. I moved to Australia. I moved to LA. And when I was in LA, I was so depressed and so lost, because it was such a like wasteland there. And it was the epitome of everything that I was programmed to believe that I wanted, yet I couldn't bring myself to do it. I just couldn't. It was like so foreign. And that was when I really started having like a serious spiritual awakening, because I started seeing 333 everywhere. And I remember I asked my mom one day, I'm like, what does this mean? Like, what does 333 mean? She's like, you were born at 3:33 a.m. And I was like, wow. So that was the beginning of me like realigning with my initial blueprint and coming home to myself and really asking myself like some serious questions. And yeah, like I said, I've always had really profound dreams. I can remember most of my dreams since kindergarten as well. So I have like a really strong memory of them. And around that time, I started dreaming more seriously about the other side. Like my dad's mom, she passed away before I was born. And I remember one night I had been at a club and I drank someone's Sprite and there was Molly in it. So I got so high and I went home and I just laid in bed, and my body was so relaxed that my body fell asleep, but my mind was still awake. And I went into this other dimension and my dad's mom was there. And we were in this like kitchen made of koa wood. And she was in this red mu'u dress with her hair in a low bun with like all these tea leaves in it. And she and I just talked for what felt like ever. And that was the first time that I really connected with an ancestor like hardcore. And she started dropping all this wisdom about how to deal with my dad. And she was just like, stop fighting him. Like, stop, trying to beat him down, because he's always going to think that he's right unless you listen to him and prove him wrong. And so then I started listening and I stopped trying to fight against him or resist what he was doing. And the more that I listened, the more that his words were echoing back to him. And so then he started apologizing, because he started just hearing what he was saying. And so then our whole relationship transformed, because I actually allowed myself to soften instead of trying to become his equal. And then I started becoming myself. And then he started to get to know me, and then he started to respect me. But it took a lot of time and a lot of patience. And yeah, so I went on my whole LA journey, and then I decided to move home and I changed my diet. I stopped doing drugs. I stopped drinking. And this was when I was 21. And I had been just reading a lot about spirituality. And ever since I was a kid, I had a really strong connection to spirituality, but not in any religious sense. It was always like things were so hard that I would just be on my knees, like, if you exist, please help me, you know? And I feel like I really developed a relationship with prayer because of that, because it felt good to be able to just like humble myself, because it was like rock bottom, felt like such an eternal now as a child, that prayer was like one of the only things that really made me feel like it might be okay, and that it might be a choice, you know, like I could choose to feel better. I could choose to create a better reality than the one that I came from. And so that's what I did. And I moved home from LA, and as soon as I got home, my auntie, I'm named after her, so I'm Mahina #2. And she's always been, not always, because in my early life, I didn't really connect with her that much. But once I got to a certain age and I started having my spiritual awakening, all the blah, blah, blah she was trying to preach to me before started like making sense to me. I was like, okay, I get it now. Like, and then she and I became best friends, and she started sharing with me like all of her prayers and how to journal to connect with yourself in a deeper way. And so she really helped my journey a lot. And so when I got home from LA, she had gotten this email that 13 elders from all 4 corners of the earth would be coming to Kauai for a week to film like a short film called Wisdom Weavers, to kind of share ancient wisdom with the world and get people to like wake up and decide, because it's all in our power. And we've been led to believe that it's not for so long, that we're just letting shit happen that doesn't need to be let happen. And so she and I ended up sitting with them for this 8-day journey. And that was like, holy shit. That blew my whole fucking world open. Like, I could cry of joy. Like, just listening to them speak about the beautiful relationship that they have to the earth, and like, it just was like music to my ears, literally. Like, I missed that. I missed feeling connected to my body, to myself, to my community, and it felt like it has been too long. But it also felt like the contrast was necessary, because coming from where I had come from and all that pain and all that fear, it had just sent me so far out of my body. And I didn't even know where to begin healing that. Like, where do you even begin? So I just listened. And I was in a period of listening for like a couple of years. Like, it just felt like I was lost, but also more found than ever. Like, and everyone became a teacher to me at that point. Like, every person, every child, every plant, every gust of wind was like a language for my soul. And it was like, you know, angel numbers and synchronicities, just like, you're on the right track. Just trust that, you know, you're putting one foot in front of the other and you're following your heart. And this is you relearning your connection, you know? And it was a bumpy road. It still is. And that was where I met my friend Gabriel, and he is a facilitator for ayahuasca ceremonies. So he told me that he would be facilitating a ceremony right after this 8 days was ending. And I remember I had $800 to my name, and it was $750 to sit for the ceremony. And I was like, perfect. I have just enough